Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom, the why, what, and how. We're on section 3 of my book, The How. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. My students are all high schoolers. If you want to help me tweak ideas from my book, contact me at studio-nemo.com, or I hang out at the Duolingo Educators Network or the Minecraft Education Ambassadors or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge. And now Roxem has just started a teacher support group too, so I need to update my slide here. All right, so we're on chapter 11 of my book, How to Use Dice to Practice Conjugation, Body Parts, Clothing. In our previous episode, we talked about mini whiteboards, making your drill and kill feel more like a game. Now we're going to talk about how you can use dice to make it feel more like a game. So I like it when things are random because I think it helps the students build mental muscle, if we can call it mental muscle. And dice are just a really good way to randomize it. You get more authentic. It's not like the students are parrots and they're just parroting the one way that they know how to do it. At least with dice, they're having to think outside of just, hey, we're working on this right now. The randomization helps them, I really think. Okay, so one idea is you show a set of words associated and you just say, hey, for number 1, we're going to have this word. For number 2, we're going to have this word. If you roll a 4, you're going to have this word. Okay, and subjects and verbs are a great thing to practice because it seems like the students always need help with conjugation in your Romance languages. So I like to put the students in pairs because they teach each other tricks to memorize the conjugation. This is that peer tutoring, right? And bonus, it reduces the grading load because these two guys are going to have the same paper. Okay, perfect. They each have to write. Don't say, hey, okay, for your group, one person turns in the thing. No. Everybody's got to write because writing has been shown to help memory. Check out my Metacognition Monday playlist for an explanation of that, okay? But they're both going to be writing the same thing, hopefully. I let them choose their own partners, but you can do it randomly if you want. Okay, so make sure that they're both writing down the answers. When you're grading, you're just looking for patterns. Okay, so one pattern that I see a lot with my Spanish and my French students are that they mix up they and y'all, they and you plural, or maybe they mix up we and you plural because they rhyme. Okay, but I look for those patterns. Make sure everyone's writing their own paper because handwriting is so crucial. So every time they roll a 1, they've got to follow what was on that, whatever chart you give them of, hey, when you roll 1, you have to write this. When you roll 2, you have to, whatever. I like for Romance languages, it works out nice that I put number 2 is 2. Which is just like perfect for me as I memorize things. As I'm looking over the papers, like, what was number 2? Oh, yeah, I remember what number 2 was. It was 2. It's always 2. Okay. So I'll show you in more detail in a second. Here we go. So in this example here, I give the subject pronouns in English because I really want to make sure that the students remember the difference between you and you plural. Okay, and what they mean. And this is the second day of school that I do this one. Okay, and then here I give them the verbs in French because the spelling is difficult the second day of school. And all we're working on is basically, can you read a conjugation chart? Okay, so I don't want to like give them the extra stress of spelling. I just want to make sure that they understand how a conjugation chart works, okay? But, I do this in lots of different ways, okay? This is for demonstrative pronouns, okay? And then, oops, this one's behind that one. There we go. And then this is matching adjectives to nouns. And then, will this be in front? No, that's in back. Smart of me. And then this is singulars and plurals. So here I've got 3 dice going on. And matching adjectives to nouns. Okay, so I have the students, basically they make a T-chart, okay? Here, this was early, like first or second day of school. I don't care about this, and later on I'm like, don't even bother writing down the numbers. All I care about is here and here, okay? So, because I don't, it's the numbers. The numbers are meaningless, okay? They could be anything at all. What I care about is, and yes, this is a translation thing, and I know ACTFL, we're supposed to be 90% working in the target language, but here I'm trying to teach the students patterns. And I feel very, very strongly that my high schoolers, being almost adults, they can take advantage of pattern recognition to learn faster. So if I take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to teach them a pattern, they're going to be able to apply things quicker than if they had 20 million repetitions hearing it in the target language. That's just my personal philosophy, okay? So I do want them to do both so that I can say, oh, you're mixing up y'all and use singular, okay? So I want to be able to identify that quickly, okay? You'll notice that I'm going to point this out in a second. I don't ever really grade anything. I just circle it. And here I did give them a hint of, hey, you got a match. And then I drew a line down to the little conjugation chart that I had them write in the little bottom of the paper so they could look at it, okay? So generally, when I'm doing this whole class, I have the students write 10 phrases, okay? There's a little T-chart, 10 phrases. If I'm going to use it just as a station, 3 phrases is fine, maybe 5 phrases, okay? Now, sometimes you've got students who blitz through it. They understand the concept, they get really good at it, they go fast. How are you going to keep them engaged when you're working with the students that are taking a little bit longer to catch on? Well, for the students that are doing great, the high flyers, I just tell them, hey, you know what? I will give you XP points if you write complete sentences instead of just a phrase. I don't have any problem at all giving extra credit. And this is why. It's because the students who have 105%, they're not competing with the other students in class. They're competing with themselves. They're pushing themselves to be better. It doesn't matter to me if they have 105%, if they have 107%, that's still an A. I don't care about the grade. I only care about are they learning. So if I can keep pushing them, that's like the baked potato. I talk about Shelley Moore's baked potato thing, okay? If they want to put extra toppings on their baked potato, I am all for that. I want to keep them working. I want to keep them working at a higher level. And then the students that are struggling, I can work with them and give them hints and stuff and keep everyone at 100% engagement, okay? So for example, here I have, if the students rolled a 1 and 4, okay? I go, they write I go, and if they write I go to school, I'd give them XP, okay? Now, yes, this one is like second or third day of school. Maybe they don't know that much, but, if they're trying, I'm happy. And I do let them code switch a bit. And also, they might know some of those words. And if they say they know the word pencil and they say, I go to pencil, hey, that's grammatically correct. I'm happy. Okay, so the main point is that you're working the room. You are not in the corner grading other papers, okay? Everybody, you've got your groups of 2 working. You're walking over and you're eavesdropping on all of them. And you're looking over their shoulders, okay? Because we know that quick targeted feedback is the most important thing that the students can get. It is so high on the Hattie effect size. Okay, so if I'm over here and I see that they're mixing up the he form and the they form, okay, I could just look over their shoulder and I could just point to it and say, double check the chart. And I can van my way over to the chart, which is over here in the class, and then I could point and then I can say, okay, now what? Okay, oh, got it. Good. Okay, and then I go over here. Okay, and this is going to give me less to grade tonight because there's more completely perfect papers. Okay, but also, I came up through the audiolingual method, and the audiolingual method believes very solidly that fossilization is a problem. So if students learn something wrong, it takes a longer time to unteach that. So this prevents fossilization if you're into the audiolingual technique, okay? Doesn't take very long for you to work the room, get around to everyone. It's only like a 5-10 minute game anyway, okay? And you're only looking at 15 groups, right? Because you got a class of 30 maybe, okay? So if you do this, you got 5 classes a day, 6 classes a day. It's not too long, and you're just pointing to things that jump out at you, okay? Don't ever just tell them the answer, because this is for them to be thinking. This gives you much less to grade tonight, and it gives the students instant feedback, which is hugely important. So you collect the papers at the end, and it takes you 5 minutes just to glance over them and look for patterns, because you've already done the hard part, looking over them right now, okay? And then you'll notice back in that other paper, I just circled things. I learned a long time ago, and this was actually Dylan Williams' book, Embedded Formative Assessment. If I write B- on the paper, the students say, oh, I'm a B- student. They crumple up the paper and they throw it away and they never look at it. If I just circle things, then they think about, oh wait, why is this circled? Okay? Papers that are perfect, I draw a star on, or maybe I stamp. Okay? So here again, here's that same one. All right, I just circled it and I drew a line here, and I don't normally write a clue, but sometimes I do. Okay? And then I hand them back the very next day, because as quick as you can get that feedback, the better it is for the students. So I tell the students, I put them back in their partners, and I say, okay, if you have a star, hang on to it for a second. In a moment, I'm going to have you turn it back in. And that's because I don't want the students who had to correct to raise their effective filter and say, I got to turn my paper back in and I'm the only one doing it. No, everyone's turning their paper back in. So nobody can tell how anybody else did, okay? So I give them all a second sheet of paper. Generally, if I have time, I'll staple it to the first sheet. Okay? And now, on the second sheet of paper, not only do they need to correct this, but they need to say why. That's crucial, okay? So they're going to correct this to be il a, and then they're going to say, oh, I mixed up the eels plural and the eel singular, okay? Or they might say, oh, we learned that song, vous pouvez m'aider à la trouver. Or they might say, for whatever hint I give them, whatever mantra we're saying in class, whatever memory aid they can come up with, I want them to write it down, because it'll help them make those connections in their brain. And of course, we know that your brain is making more connections when you make mistakes. So then I say turn it back in, and this takes 2 minutes tops, okay? If it takes more than 2 minutes of class time, you need to reteach the whole thing, okay? So now, tonight, you go through the papers, and you're just glancing at them again, make sure everyone got it right, and then you can put the grades in the grade book, okay? But this group right here, it just took one more day, and then they had it solid. Okay, so again, you don't have to limit this to verbs. You can do it with school supplies, personal pronouns, colors and clothes, singulars, plurals, and for singulars and plurals, I say whatever you have a third dice, and for this one, I was just like, whatever number's on it, you got to write that number. Sometimes I just say if it's odds, it's singulars. If it's even, it's plurals. Okay. Whatever grammatical construct that your students need to drill and kill, you can do with dice. It feels very random. You can use dice, obviously, to do numbers. Just have the students choose which is your ones column, which is your tens column, and then you can add a third if you need hundreds columns. Okay. All right. I think I've talked long enough. I don't even know how. It's 14 minutes. I'm trying to keep these to 10 minutes. In our next episode, we're going to talk more about using dice to practice all sorts of stuff. Okay. So hope to see you there.